Playing far too close to the fingerboard and not close enough to the bridge is one of the absolutely classic bad habits that a lot of cellists have. But why is it that we feel so much more comfortable closer to the fingerboard than closer to the bridge? What is it that makes us a little bit uncomfortable about playing close to the bridge? Let's talk about it tonight. As always, if this is your first time here, a very warm welcome. I hope that you will find my content enjoyable and helpful, and if you do, please smash that like button and consider subscribing. And if you would like to be one of the people who help me grow my channel, you can now do so by clicking onto the Ko-fi link below and leaving me a little tip. And if you would like to find out anything more about my concerts, lessons, workshops, or anything else, you can also visit my website www.juliamorneweg.com or follow me on Instagram at cello_Julia. Let's get close to the bridge. I have literally just logged off Zoom, where I was teaching this month's edition of Julia's Cello Cafe, my monthly live online workshop. And today our specialist subject was sound colors. So we were talking about the different parameters that go into creating different sound colors, contact point, bow speed, vibrato, you name it. And in the Q&A afterwards, there was really only one topic that pretty much everyone wanted to talk about, and that was, how do I play near the bridge? How do I get a nice sound that's not scratchy? How much bow hair should I be using? So on and so forth. So while it's all still fresh in my head, I thought I'll make a video about it straight away, and we'll really take it all apart bit by bit. Now, as I said in my introduction, not playing close enough to the bridge, playing too close to the fingerboard is generally one of the sort of classic bad habits of cellists. But I think it's like with any bad habit, it's very important to understand where it comes from and why do we feel so much more comfortable in sort of what I tend to call fluffy land, i.e. up near the fingerboard, than we do playing near the bridge. And I think quite simply, playing near the bridge is a lot less forgiving, and it demands a much greater degree of control if you want to maintain a nice sound. So first up, let's, again, as do so often, let's first of all understand the physics a little bit of what is different between the string down here and the string up nearer or even on the fingerboard. And of course, if you actually just try plucking the string, yeah, so here at that point you can feel the string has got a lot of give. It's very, very elastic, so it's quite easy to make it ring. Now, even when you're doing a pizzicato, the closer you go to the bridge, the less flexibility you have. You can now feel that when you're down here, obviously you wouldn't have a plug down there, but when you just try that, you can feel that the string is very, very taut. Yeah, there's very little room for it to swing freely. So right here, there's a lot of tension, which of course means it's slightly harder to make the string speak. And because obviously in order to get sound we need to create vibration, and whilst here there's a lot of slack and the string can vibrate very easily, here the sideways movement is not so easy. It's going to be slightly narrower amplitude, so it's going to, then that's why you get a lot more focus in the sound than you do up here. So that's the first thing to understand. You have simply got a lot more tension on the string down here. Also, when you just place a bow, you can feel here it's got a lot of cushioning. As you go down, you can feel that cushioning really disappears. Now, that's why it's so important that when we're playing near the bridge, there is one thing we absolutely cannot do, and that is apply downwards pressure. Because the string is so taut as it is, if I now apply downwards pressure, there's literally nowhere for the string left to go in order to vibrate. You're simply going to choke it off. So whilst you see, if my arm is just naturally very, very loose and very heavy, I just use this, yeah, dead weight. And if I draw my dead weight, near the bridge, you can hear the sound is very, very focused, it's very projected, it's direct, but it still rings. Now, if I even slightly raise my upper arm, which is going to be applying downwards pressure onto the bow, listen to what happens. Warning, it's not going to be pretty. You can hear it becomes really, 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 really constricted because there's nowhere left for the string to go. So if you're doing that and you see, you will simply, there will be moments where the string can't move anymore and it will just choke. It will literally go, yeah, can't, there's no air left. So that's the first thing we need to establish. We need to really only work with natural weight. So dead weight hanging off the shoulder. Obviously, dead weight does not ever mean that the arm is here. Yeah, there's a difference, and this is one of those things really to write bold in red underlined and with a bit of glitter on top. There is a difference between positioning of the arm and state of the arm, and that's the one thing that very often gets confused. So obviously, as I'm going higher in the bow, you can see the arm is all the way out here, the tilt increases, and even at the heel, you see it's not hanging down here, my elbow's pointing out here, but that is to do with angling. Nothing changes the fact that even at that angle, all of this is dead. Yeah, it's just going down. So you want to get that. And now let's experiment a little bit with how much speed, how much bow speed we can actually get away with near the bridge. Because as I said, it takes longer to respond. It's not like here where you can just draw with a lot of speed and immediately you get a response. Not at all. So here it reacts most easily to just very, very slow, steady bow speed. And I can try to go a bit faster. So you see there's a limit. Even when everything is completely free, there is a limit. If I go back a centimeter or so, we're still quite near the bridge. But you see, I can change smoothly, no problem. They're really very, very, very close to the bridge. That is something which really works best with a combination of lots of just dead weight and very, very slow bow speed. Yeah, so and actually that is something, one thing I was just telling the guys in my workshop, that is actually an exercise which I do quite a lot in order to condition myself to play near the bridge comfortably, because especially when you need to project. So for me, if I especially I play a lot with the piano, either in recitals or in piano trio, and when you have sometimes a 9-foot grand piano behind you, the wave of sound is overwhelming. If you don't play quite near the bridge where the sound really projects out into the hall, you will be swallowed. You'll be absolutely swallowed. So that's why, in order to get myself comfortable with that, I will practice quite a lot, just very slow bows near the bridge. I'm trying as much as possible to get smooth changes. And see how slow can you get without losing control. So the trick here is that you need absolutely steady sideways movement. So nothing downwards doesn't create sound. You only get the string to spin by sideways movement. So that can't stop. Yeah, it's a little bit, it feels a little bit like in when you're driving a manual car and you're in first gear and you're just, you feel this sort of enormous torque, but you're just controlling it with your foot. You're just controlling it with the clutch. Obviously you can't go, you can't go fast in first gear, but you feel that enormous power. So that's the same thing, but you have got to keep a minimum number of revs. You need to keep moving because otherwise you stall. So sideways, go, upper arm as far as you can. See, and then you get a smooth change. Upper arm completely relaxed, but keep moving. You see that everything down here is completely soft. I'm just pushing all the way in until it's time to change. And then that's something you can also apply to practicing scales. And needless to say, the higher you go on the instrument, the closer you need to play to the bridge anyway, because otherwise your sounding string length gets even shorter than it is already. Final question that I had tonight about it was, how much bow hair should I use? And I think actually when I thought about that a little bit, I think there's something happens quite naturally when we're going from closer to the fingerboard to closer to the bridge, because of the way our arm is much more folded up when we're playing nearer the fingerboard. We are up here maybe using naturally about sort of 50% hair. Right, obviously I can vary it, but if we are playing this sort of middle, I would say the default is maybe about sort of 70%. But by the time our arm is that open down here, we are naturally more gearing towards using almost or even full hair. And practicing with full hair down there is certainly something you want to try. That's really important in order to not, if you're getting a scratch, it's probably an indicator that you're not bowing parallel to the bridge. Now, I know most of you will run straight to sit in front of a mirror to try and correct it, but actually I can tell you that 95% plus of cases of bows not being straight come from one root cause, and that is when you're starting from the heel, that the hand starts pulling instead of the upper arm. So in order to get a straight bow, you really need to start from the upper arm. So the hand is passive, the hand is being pulled, the hand is not doing any pulling. So you go from here, and only when you've exhausted that do you open the rest. Provided you get that sequence correct, it is pretty much impossible not to play with a straight bow. And the gauge to use, which I actually prefer over using the mirror, is a sound. If you're bowing straight, keep in mind that on the outer strings, obviously straight means something different. Yeah, so straight on the A string means out and away from you that way, because you have to follow the shape of the bridge. C string, means going there. Yeah, so that's also important. But the main thing you have to listen for, if you get pure sound, you know that it's a straight bow. If you hear a bit of hissing, you know that there is some sort of up and down skid going on, which you don't want. So become a really discerning listener and really watch that you're using your upper arm, and then you'll be good. So as always, I hope this has been helpful to address this particular problem. Any questions or comments, pop them below. I always love to hear from you. And as usual, happy practicing, and I look forward to seeing you for the next one. Cheerio.